how your conscious and subconscious work for language learning. And this is actually one of the topics that really not much people talk about, like really not anyone. Like I just heard about one person talking about this one, and I have watched his video and what and was actually pretty good. So yeah, the first thing that I want to say is consciousness. What consciousness is? Well, consciousness is just the state of being present, the state in which you pay attention to something or to someone. So let's just say that you're watching an anime like this one, and um, you're watching this anime, right? And you're really paying attention to what they're saying. You know that when you play video games or when you watch videos, maybe you get a thought whilst you are doing it. So, like you're playing and you get a thought about something that you did in your school and something that you get, like, I don't know, shamed about. So, it's kind of that's kind of being present. You are present when you are paying attention to a thing, but when you get the thought, you stop being present. That's when your subconscious comes into play, which is that your subconscious is when you're not present, is when you're having those thoughts. That's when your subconsciousness is comes into play. You're literally not being present, not paying attention, not, and this is the most inefficient state which you can be in. And there's actually a lot of things that can make your subconsciousness uh, come like come like to your brain a lot, which is like I don't know, eating really bad things. Like you can actually describe subconsciousness as um being as having kind of like brain fog. Like let's just say that you have brain fog, and you know that when you have brain fog, literally you can't pay attention to anything, and that's and you have brain fog because you eat bad things. You have brain fog because you don't have very healthy habits. You have brain fog because you are not that disciplined, and that's why brain fog comes into play. So to like kind of summarize it, let's just say that that you're in a coffee shop, right? And in this coffee shop there's a lot of people talking, so your brain is going to say, well man, we don't need to hear all of these people talking. So what your brain is going to do, of course, is going to skip, and it's not going to really hear. I mean, it your brain is hearing, but it is just like skipping all of that unnecessary information that he doesn't need. Now, if you hear your name being called, uh, in like I don't know, all of those people in that coffee shop, your brain is going to say, "Oh, we need to pay attention to that thing because like they are kind our name." So that's when your consciousness comes into play, and you're now present uh, to like paying attention of on who called your name. That's being actually kind of present. So yeah, that is consciousness, and that is subconsciousness. Now, these two right here come into a very kind of those two here are very interesting when we're talking about language learning. Now, how can this affect language learning? There are two ways of learning languages that I remember. I think that there are three. Like there's active immersion, passive immersion, and there's another one which is like in the middle of these both, but I don't remember the name, so I will not put it. So the first one is active immersion. Active immersion is when learning a language what we want to do the most. Like for example, when we learn languages, what we do the most is just like watch whatever thing that it is on the language that we want to learn. If we want to learn German, then we're actually watch going to watch a series or a TV show that it is in German. That's what most people do to learn languages. Or and if you can, the most efficient thing that you could do to actually learn a language is to like learn a vocabulary, and is to like have a vocabulary list of like the most frequent words that are spoken in that language and like memorize that list. And when you memorize that list, what you will do is like literally start speaking to people, and that's it. That's the most efficient thing that you can do to learn a language uh, in the less amount of time possible. Now, that's super besides the point, but well, active immersion is what we want to do when we're present, like when our brain doesn't have any brain fog and our subconscious is not coming into play that often. So that is what we want to do, active immersion, because it is just the most efficient way of learning a language because you are paying much attention. You're literally paying a lot of attention to the things you're watching. Now, passive immersion is when we're actually listening to something or like watching something whilst we do another thing that it is important. Maybe like you're cleaning your house, you're driving, and whilst you do those things, you're like listening to, I don't know, a show, you're listening to an audiobook on that language that you want to learn. Now, there's proof that both of these are really good, especially active immersion, but there's actually a kind of a good proof that passive immersion can be actually useful. Now, what I will recommend is to do active immersion for your 3 hours. Let's just say that you have 2 hours free, then do active immersion and learn some vocabulary in like, I don't know, uh, 30 minutes, 30 minutes of learning vocabulary and 1 hour and 30 minutes of like active immersion. And for passive immersion, do it for the things that you're free. Like maybe you're cleaning your house, do passive immersion. Maybe you're cleaning your room, do passive immersion. Maybe you're driving, do passive immersion. Like that, those kinds of things. And of course, please don't replace passive immersion with paying attention to the things around you. Like, please. Now, I forgot to say, like, I have kind of ADHD. Well, I forgot to say how consciousness applies to this. Like, in active immersion, what we want to be is conscious. We want to be present whilst we're praying at, whilst literally watching the thing we are, the thing we're watching in this case. Like, we want to be literally super present whilst we are applying active immersion. We want to be conscious of the thing we are doing. Now, in passive immersion, your subconsciousness comes into kind of play because you're not really paying attention to what you're watching. You're maybe if you're driving, you're paying more attention to driving because if not, you can have an accident. So you are not paying attention to passive immersion. That's why passive immersion can be not that efficient, and that's why I don't recommend it that much. But uh, if you can do it, like always, once you do something, like I mean, it will help in some ways. Let's just say that you are conscious and you're paying attention to the passive immersion, but then you're driving and then you have to pay attention to something to like your drive. So uh, when you stop paying attention to your driving, you are going your consciousness is going to come again to your passive immersion. So yeah, that's kind of it. So it's kind of weird because your consciousness is going to go to driving, then it's going to go to your passive immersion, then driving passive immersion. That's why it's not that efficient, but I mean, it helps, especially if you have already watched or listened to the thing you are listening. But actually, there's something that not much people talk about that um that passive immersion does, and this is that in passive immersion, if you do it all day, you're going to get obsessed with the thing that you're doing. Let's just say that you're learning German and you do like your 2 hours of active immersion, and then you have the rest of the 3 hours of your day to do passive immersion. Well, what not much people talk about it is that when you do passive immersion, you are literally going to get obsessed with that language because the only thing you're doing in all of your day is literally hearing that language, hearing, speaking, watching that language. So like when you get that obsessed with a language, you're literally going to have super good results because you are literally living in that language. That's why, yeah, that is kind of why you're going to have super good good results in this case, right? So like if you can do passive immersion for almost all of your day, that is going to be really good. Not because it's going to be efficient for your language learning, which I mean, it will be more efficient to like do passive immersion than to not do anything, but not because it's going to be efficient, but because you are going to get obsessed with the language and you're going to get more motivated on actually going to apply active immersion. So that's why I think that passive immersion is like really good, actually. So yeah, I mean, we know what active immersion is, passive immersion is, also our consciousness and our subconscious. But how can we improve how conscious we are? Because we don't want to improve how subconscious we are. Like if you want to improve how subconscious you are, which you don't want to, you should like eat shit food. You should like, I don't know, not have healthy habits. You should like not go to exercise, not go to meditate, not like jog, like not do anything that you think it's healthy. That's what you that's what you need to do to actually improve your subconscious. But now, if we want to improve our consciousness, what we want to do is literally something very easy. I didn't want to get into like meditating or exercise, which if you want me to get into that, like I can get into. But the thing that we need to do is to stop multitasking, to literally stop multitasking in everything we do. Like, because when you multitask, you are literally, your subconscious is literally going to the thing you're doing, to the thing that you want to do, and to, I mean, your consciousness is like bouncing over two things. Like, literally, it's doing this thing. So, let me tell you that the brain of our human brain can't pay attention to two things at the same time. Yeah, maybe you think that you can pay attention to two things at the same time, but no, like you can't pay attention to two things at the same time. So please stop doing that, because maybe you like eat while you're playing video games, maybe you eat while you're watching videos. Anything of that is good for you, like anything of that. Like, well, I will not lie to you. Right now, I'm very obsessed with like learning Japanese, and yeah, I mean, I watch Japanese even when I'm eating, but that's because I'm obsessed with learning Japanese. I don't do almost anything else uh, besides watching anything in Japanese on my life. But that's because I'm really obsessed with the language, and I don't have a problem with the consequences that eating whilst you watch something can break me. But if you want to be more conscious, of course, you need to stop multitasking. Maybe you go to your bathroom, and when you go to the bathroom, you bring your phone. Maybe once you take a bath, you listen to music. Maybe while you are eating, you watch videos. While you are eating, you play video games. Like all of these things. Maybe whilst you are studying, you listen to music, which can be pretty like harmful. Like I would not recommend to like study whilst you listen to music, unless for you to study is like very boring and you listen to some music which is just instrumental and it's not like very distracting. So yeah, I would recommend to just stop multitasking in everything you do. Now, you don't have to really do this like a lot. Like you don't have to do this all on a day. Maybe just today you just stop eating whilst you, I don't know, play video games, and you just enjoy your food, and that's it. Maybe you just do that today and that's it, and you have improved in something at least. Because if you do all of this at once, of course, it's not going to work. So yeah, I mean, if you thought that this was interesting, I think that my course, which is a PDF, are actually 10 PDFs in which I explain all of my knowledge on how to get discipline and how to learn languages, like on 3 years. Like, if you think that this was useful, my PDF is actually much more useful. So thank you if you have watched till the final. I don't know. I don't know how to say that. Bye.